I'm back for the second one. So I was thinking earlier, trying not to think too hard on it because it really kind of messes it up. Just be in the moment. So, my thoughts were concerning consciousness as usual. I personally believe that if we spend more time at, having adventures in our reality, as far as considering what it is and how it came about, that we would find more answers to our problems, quote, quote, than we do by all the scientists, experiments, wars, and maybe I'm just simple. But I think simple is what makes things happen, okay? So I was kind of considering that thought. And time, if we think about, I have to get rid of this think about. If we consider time, recently people have said to me, man, it seems to be going so fast. And my response is always, well, time doesn't exist, so maybe that's why it seems that way. And really, it's a totally incomplete thought. And most people don't even, they don't even question something like that because they're kind of like, okay, whatever. But if we take this idea that time does not exist, we have to back up to the fact that my first encounter with the idea was, I thought, well, I'm always trying to make things logical. So I thought, well, maybe someone has constricted time for organizational purposes. Basically, to get us to work. Okay. So they did something with the elasticity of time and put it in a box called a clock. I don't know how to explain it. So we're actually using a clock to measure time. The time that does not exist, right? So without the clock, if we never looked at a clock during the day, we wouldn't get to all the places we need to be, right? So would you do it instinctively without a clock? Let's try going a day without using a clock. That would be like not breathing to some people. I don't even know if I could do it. Think about that. Would it be any different than any other day? Would it feel different? I mean, I've had times where I couldn't find my phone or whatever, and I would go, "Hey, do you know what time it is?" And interestingly enough, not many years ago, I was really good with time. I could tell you what time it was or how much time had passed instinctively. And it wasn't looking at the sun. It was just, there was something about me that I always knew how much time had passed. Someone would ask me and I'd go, oh, it's been like 15 minutes. And then we'd check the watch and it was like, oh my God, she's right. And that would happen a lot. So maybe I have a thing about time that's really some kind of a connection with me. I don't know. But it is quite an interesting thing to consider. And I know I always mention this, but if we spent more time considering things like time, I think we'd get to the bottom of this reality. Which brings me to what I thought about earlier. The reality is we live in a game. I know, isn't that fun? Why are we not having fun in our game? We should be having fun in our game, but we're not. We're taking everything very seriously. Everything is life and death, life and death. And that leads me to the other thought that I had. Death. Now, this is not saying everyone needs to kill themselves by any means. However, death is like a pin into your skin. You know, it's like no one wants to talk about it because it hurts too much. You know, and it's like, okay, so I was on this website or a page, Facebook page, and this guy had a link to a friend of, or someone he knew, or was some mentor of his. And he's like, God, I hadn't heard from this guy, and I wondered what happened, and I found out he died. But he committed suicide. He's like, wait, it was a good thing. And so I had to rush over and see what was going on, and it was like, oh, this is the most interesting thing. So this guy was like a consciousness leader of some sort, and he had literally done everything he came here to do. I mean, he had books and followers, and he was like obviously really right on about a whole bunch of stuff. And basically, he was just ready to go be with his wife, who had died at some point. And he, like down to the very last minute, said, it's okay, I'm doing this because I want to do this. This is my decision. I am not afraid. I know what's going to happen. I'll see you next time. He even went so far as to say, there will be a child born with this birthmark, and that's going to be me. That you'll know when this happens that that's me. And I was like, whoa. And I'm going to come right back because I don't want this to be really long.